Today I'm going to give you this little gem of a low register tone study. I got this from Samuel Barron, who wrote it. I got it from him while I was at Juilliard. I was studying with Carol Winsense and I loved my time with her, but I also loved learning things from the other flute professors there. Samuel Barron was there and I studied some chamber music with him. Jeannie Baxtresser and Julius Baker were also there. If you're like me, I went through a phase growing up where I thought tone studies were a little bit tedious to do. And then I switched teachers and my new teacher talked to me a lot about resonance, how to make better resonance on the flute, how to relax and open things in your neck and your head and really focus on your breathing and breathe deeply and well. And I started to really enjoy tone studies. I started to feel that they were kind of a meditative experience. They've made me feel really connected to my body and my breathing and in the present moment, opening my ears and listening to make the most glorious, beautiful flute sound that I could. I learned many years later that I'm not the only one who sees playing the flute this way. And in fact, there was an order of monks in Japan, samurai komusō monks, who would play the Japanese flute, the shakuhachi, as a means to attain enlightenment. They would put a basket over their heads to kind of erase their ego, and they would play the shakuhachi underneath the basket and use that as a meditation. I think that's a very good, healthy way to think of tone studies. I love this tone study. It's one that I come back to and play often, and I give it out frequently, and I have not for months. So it's definitely time for me to give it to all of you. One of the charms of this tone study is how slowly it moves you down to your low register. You start on the C in the staff and you move down extremely slowly to your lowest pitch. That gives you plenty of time to focus on your sound, have tone goals. They could be different goals from day to day. Maybe one day you're looking for the most dark, rich sound you can get. Another day you're looking for the most focused, beautiful sound you can make. But if you have a goal like that, it's very easy to spend time focusing on that goal and move that sound that you find that you love slowly down to your very lowest notes. And whatever your goal is, you should always be aiming for a homogeneous sound. So however your C in the staff sounds, your C below the staff, your low B if you've got one, should sound just the same. The other big charm of this tone study for me is how simply but completely logically it's built. It's very gratifying to play because it's easy to remember how to do it. It feels good in your fingers, in your throat, in your mouth, and with all your resonators. And it satisfies my brain that it's built so logically. Let's take a look at how this tone study is built, and then I'll play some of it for you while I put it up on the screen so that you can see it. We're going to start at the beginning of the exercise with a G tetrachord. So for some simple music theory, think of a G tetrachord as just the first 4 pitches of a G major scale. We're going to name them by step number 1, 2, 3, 4, but for this exercise, we're going downward towards your low register. So we're going to reorder those, start on pitch 4 and go down 3, 2, 1. Now let's look at the full-blown exercise, not just the skeleton behind it that I've shown you. This is basically an exercise in thirds. So using these 4 pitches, first of all, this is what we're going to play. And as I said, we want to have very specific tone goals in mind. Are you trying to make a dark, rich sound? Are you trying to make a very focused sound? Are you going to do it with or without vibrato? You want to have all these goals in mind. I most often do it without vibrato because vibrato can be a little bit like makeup or a band-aid, that it can hide some little inconsistencies, especially in your support and airstream. So most typically I do it without vibrato, but sometimes I want to hear my vibrato because I'm going to use that all the time. So there are times when I incorporate it. Now we're going to move down very gradually from these pitches. So after you've played those first 2 measures using our G tetrachord, we're going to start slowly altering our pitches. The first thing that we change is that we move our step 3 down a half step. So when we've got our G tetrachord, we move the B down to a B flat. Very simple, just one note moves down a half step. Then we continue moving one note at a time down a half step. So next we pick our second degree in the tetrachord. We move the A down to an A flat. That's both A's in this exercise that will become A flats. We've moved to 3 and 2 down. Now we're going to move 1 down. So we'll have a G flat as well as B flat and A flat. Now there's only one thing left that can be moved, and that's our top pitch. So we move our top pitch down a half step to C flat. Well, C flat, we are going to rename. We're going to do enharmonic pitches just so we don't get into too many double flats, and we'll call that B natural. And this has pivoted us down into the next tetrachord. Now we have a tetrachord that's built on F sharp. And again, we just move down the tetrachord, and every time we repeat it, we lower one pitch, always in the same order. So now we lower our third step, and now our third step is the A sharp. So the A sharp will become an A natural. Then we lower the second step, our G sharp becomes a G natural. We lower our first step, so the F becomes an F natural. And then the only thing remaining to move is our fourth step, our highest step. So we pivot that B down to a B flat, and now we are in our F tetrachord. Hopefully you get the idea. It's extremely simple to memorize. So perhaps after watching today's video, you can just go and play it and just enjoy how simple it is, how well it's built, and how enjoyable it is to play these thirds. There's something about thirds that I feel is a little bit more enjoyable in tone studies than just going down a half step at a time. The kind of wrapping around back and forth, up and down, to me feels a little bit better. Perhaps now you can easily play this from memory, but you could always take a screenshot if you want to have a visual reminder of how this works. I know Samuel Baron would not mind. I don't believe he ever published this. He gave it to me as a free exercise. I don't think we're robbing his descendants of any royalties. Enjoy playing this little present from Samuel Baron.